Welcome to Glacial Inferno Gamings. My name is Jay, and I wanted to give a quick update on my Unbound Ailments dot build that I've been working on. Been testing a little bit of it in the offline space while we wait so patiently for the servers to come back online. But wanted to put together a quick video to kind of show where I'm at with my build and my thoughts around it. So, like I said, this is an ailment build. We do focus on applying dots of all types. Originally I was talking about doing a burn and curse to kind of spread for clear, but I have found with the 4 fireballs that the curse is not really necessary to spread. So instead I've opted for a second elemental dot on my consuming embers. So I run burn and shock here. We are sitting about a 64% chance at level 61 here. And then I use the Avenger auto turret mainly to kind of balance out the range and willpower, but also to add a little bit of dot and clean up any stragglers that I miss. I am testing whether weakness works better than a 4th dot, but jury's still out on that to see if the weakness dot, if the weakness ailment makes up for, basically 25% of the DPS. And then we jump around using Aether Jump, of course, and Mark of Impurity, mainly for bosses. Everything else dies too quickly, so I don't really worry about that. I do have Winter's Grasp with Curse, though I find I don't use it very often, because again, at the moment, everything just completely dies very quickly. So, very quick glance at the passive wheel. So of course we do have all of the scholar nodes here for ailments as well as willpower and rage, and then we come up into Kabbalist to get all of the fun ailments. I will be testing Primordial Insights later, but I have not started that yet. Then we actually wrap around here to grab a few stats as well as Manic Slaughter for increased damage per rage, because we do wind up bouncing that back and forth and building up quite a bit of rage. That one I may wind up dropping. I haven't really found how useful it is yet, but then we run Persistence Hunting, gives 20% damage to enemies with impaired movement, because our Mark of Impurity does slow, so that triggers that. We're running Archaon's Teaching to give us +1 projectile, and that gets our Ember up to a clean 4 projectiles. And then we come over into Warlock. We grab our extra willpower and rage, and then some more wisdom. I come into here for some survivability with the soldier to basically bring our health up and give us a little bit extra toughness, as I do find it's a bit of a glass cannon, and I may be tweaking that more later as we get into endgame. Then what I've done is I've rotated the wheel to where Time Weaver is actually over this node, which allows us to come in here and get all of these ailment status chance, as well as the extra 10 ailment stacks there. But it'll also allow us to come into Abyssal Shaper over here and get all of the ailment chance and ailment damage as we level up. So part of the reason why we do this interesting little half moon thing. So that's where we are with the passives. So far, I have dumped everything into Wisdom. Every single point. Like I said, later on I will be testing out Ferocity to see if the crit works well with it. But for the moment, we're just all ailment chance, which gives us a base of 53.3. Gear-wise, a couple of key points here on this catalyst. We do have 222% elemental status ailment chance, which is huge. Combine that with the 185% ailment chance over here on the dagger, and that's what gets our consuming embers up to a nice 64% ailment chance. With that, we are running, like I said, rend and toxic damage on our attacks, and fire and shock on our spells. All of my gear is pretty generic. I haven't really found anything game-breaking yet. I found a couple of uniques, but nothing really that works with the build. So just kind of going from there. So with that, I did want to demonstrate. Let's see, we're level 61, and we're gonna run champion 79 here. I do want to try to run up some modifiers just to kind of see what we can do. Let's go with additional modifier, meteor strike, occult resistance. None of these really matter much, but we can do specialist with 78% health. Now even in offline mode, for some reason the game's been a little choppy today. It was a lot smoother the other day, but we'll see how that goes. Come on now. There we go. I'm still trying to zoom out. Alright. So like I said in my guide, we just kind of jump around, drop turrets to bounce the rage. And we leave the turret behind to take care of any stragglers. I really don't know why it's freezing up like this right now, but I may need to reboot my computer. We'll see. But as you can see, it just chews right through everything. I'll go over my modifiers to each of the skills in a second. I did forget to cover that. Like I said, jump in, drop the turret, fire off 1 to 3 embers, keep moving. And when you accidentally pick up your turret, it can go badly. There we go. That's one of the rippiest things I've done, is pick up the turret. It's a bit of a noisy build, but like I said, it just chews through this entire game so far. Some of the extra tanky ones take a second, but not much. And then we build up our rage before we get to the boss. That way we can drop double turret. Get the mark on there. Get trapped by the boss. And then start dumping our embers on him to get that dot built up. And there he goes. Alright, so like I said, with the skill modifiers on consuming embers right now, we are running meteor shower for an extra projectile, engulfing desires for extra radius, heart piercer for basically that pierce that doesn't explode, extra element damage, and add 1 projectile. Then on our turret, we're running, the main ones are ballistic reinforcements for the second turret, flak launcher so it can rotate auto target. I have been kind of trying around with the autonomous sensors. If you place them close enough, I find that can be better in some cases, especially with some of the mobile bosses. Twin repeater, which allows us to shoot faster on it. Increased duration of the sleepless sentry, and then the automated ammunition charge and kinetic trauma, which aren't really necessary, but I do them just to help out on the smooth run of it. Under Mark of Impurity, we are running marked enemies are slowed, because that'll trigger our 25% extra damage. Reduce cooldown, more vulnerable to damage, more vulnerable to damage, more vulnerable to ailments, basically. Reduce cooldown and the spread. Though I don't use it as much on packs because, like I said, it just kind of chews through them pretty quickly anyway. We do have Winter's Grasp if we choose to use it, which allows for Curse. And then cast at target. Reduce the cooldown, status chance, and AoE. And then under Aether Jump, we've got reduce willpower cost, reduce cooldown, reduce willpower cost. Teleport range, this is one you can repeat. It just gets very expensive, but with the turret, we can bounce our rage back and forth. And then gain willpower for each enemy passed through. I do have 2 more now, so probably go with the increased attack and cast speed. Alright, so that's where the state of the build is, and hopefully when they bring the servers back online, get back on the online version and grind him up to 90 and into the champions and see if we can, really figure this out. But so far, I think it's in a good state. Seems to do pretty well against anything I've come across so far. Like I said, it's a little squishy at times, but aside from going down on your knees and getting back up, I haven't actually died with it. So I always invite any questions. I have my guide up on the forums, and I'll be making edits to that as I progress. But that's kind of the state of things, and once we get this all figured out, put together a nice build guide with it and go from there. Well, thank you for tuning in.